UK with Eddie Hearn in Liverpool. Ready for the Smith Ryder showdown?
Yes.
First question: is it going to be Hagler Hearns? Because that's what Joe Gallagher said.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I felt like there was kind of some mind games there between the trainers. I don't know if I read it wrong.
No, I
but,
thought so. Yeah.
Sims was almost like on a war cry, which I've not really seen Tony like. I mean, they're very close, John and Tony. They're almost like family. It kind of feels like. And he sort of said, all I hear is Canelo at Anfield and this and that. Trust me when I say John Ryder is ready for this fight. And then Joe Gallagher said, we're ready and we want it to be like a war. We want Hagler Hearn style. So is that saying that he wants Ryder to engage and get in that kind of fight? Is he trying to go? I don't know, but I just think it's a really good fight. And I think, you know, you get situations a lot in boxing where fighters have other things planned. Next fight after that, and sometimes they can overlook someone.
Did we see it, AJ?
I don't think, and I think you might see it with Wilder Ortiz this Saturday as well. You know, I think that so often people talk about it, even Billy Joe Saunders, you know, last week, oh, he's going to fight this, he's going to fight that. Next thing, he puts in a poor performance, nearly gets beat. You know, so this can happen. Callum is a consummate professional, and so is Joe Gallagher. So they won't have not trained hard for John Ryder. It's just mentally like, how much are you up for this? Like, I was watching Wilder's press conference yesterday. I don't think he's up for it.
Right?
Really. Like, I still think he'll win. No, but he wants to win in that. But you know when you see the fire in his belly, like it's pumped, it's a big crowd, it's a big event. It just seems like when he was selling it, it was like, yeah, you know, put the remote in your pocket, and I don't know. And I think one of the good things for Callum is this is a domestic fight. And you should always get up for a domestic fight. Like, this is the homecoming. It would have been very easy for us to look at the world rankings and go, okay, who's the cheapest out of all of them? He'll do, right? And then it's 2 rounds, it's all over, and everyone moans. This time, we've stuck the money in for a domestic fight, and a really good domestic fight with his mandatory challenger. So I think Callum's bang up for it. First fight in Liverpool for a long time. But is he as up for it as John Ryder? Probably impossible, because he is absolutely chomping at the bit. Lifelong dream. He sits there with a Ring magazine belt, WBC, WBA, thinking
you can almost touch it.
Him. Yeah, you can. You know, it's not I've got to win an eliminator. When will I get my shot? It's 48 hours. I can win them. Just got to beat him. You know,
that's the question, Eddie, isn't it?
It's going to be a great fight.
Just on the Anfield thing, we spoke to Adam Smith in Newcastle, and he said the plans are well underway. From your point of view, is plans underway at Anfield?
Well, it is. I mean, we had a meeting with Anfield with Adam Smith. You've got to remember, Adam Smith's also a Liverpool fan, so he's like all over this. But for me, I don't really feel like we can do too much until after Saturday night. You know, I do represent both guys. I do like both guys, and I hate doing fights where you have 2 guys in a race, because you end up, someone gets the hump with you. You can't win. You know, oh, I'm the B-side, oh, you never, you know, I saw you during the fight, you never jumped up and down when I won. I tried to show zero emotion.
Go on, name names, Eddie. Who's had a go at you for that?
Tommy Coyle said that when he beat Masha, I never jumped up and down. I said, I love Masha. Do you know what I mean? When Callum boxed Rocky, no one moaned at me, but it was the same thing. I remember, everyone's got up, he's done, and I'm like, and if you're the fighter, maybe you look at that and go, what? But I'm just telling you now, so everyone knows, I don't show emotion when I've got 2 guys in a fight. So I want them both to come out safe, and I want them to put on a great fight for the fans, and I want them to try and produce a performance that they will be proud of. If
Callum gets through, lots of talk of Canelo, Triple G.
I think that everybody wants the Canelo fight. Like, it's like the golden fight around that division.
What chance is that realistically, Eddie?
It depends on the performance. You know, I mean, if he looks unbelievable, probably 0. If he looks like, you know, he gets hurt, and we might have Callum Smith next.
Is that the first choice?
For him, yeah. I mean, for anybody around middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, it's Canelo. But the obvious fight to make, if neither of them can get the Canelo or Triple G fight, is Saunders against Callum Smith in a British unification fight. I mean, it's a great fight, and really, all of those guys around that mix are ready now to be in those career-defining fights. Not even, I don't say they're ready for the payday. They want to test themselves against the best. You know?
Do you think Billy Joe's more attractive after his last performance?
Again, same thing. Same thing. I know that Canelo likes the Billy Joe fight, and he would have watched that last fight and gone, oh, I like that fight now. And the team would have gone, yeah, let's do that. You know, even Callum probably looked at Billy Joe in that fight and said, oh, I fancy that even more now. You know.
Do you want to talk through the rest of the card, Eddie? There's some cracking...
Yeah, really good card. I mean, not necessarily a card with huge names against lesser opponents, just a lot of good 50-50 fights. I mean, even at Facebook at 6 o'clock, you got Tennyson against Craig Evans, really good fight. I really rate Tennyson at lightweight. I think he's a beast. I mean, let's not forget, at super feather, he won British, European, challenged for the world title against Tevin Farmer. Now up at lightweight, I think that some of those frailties that he had at 130 pounds have probably deserted him now. Punches very hard, but Craig Evans is slippery and he's awkward as well, so it's going to be difficult for him. He's got to get hold of him. Farrell against Dodd. You know, Birkenhead against Liverpool, must win for both. Two cracking lads, pure 50-50 fight. Really interesting fight for Anthony Fowler against Harry Scarf. You saw Harry Scarf, big win on Channel 5 against Jack Flatley. Loads of support coming up from Derby. Again, everyone talking about Fowler.
That's another one looking ahead,
exactly,
isn't it? Yeah.
You know, and they really fancy it. Clifton Mitchell really fancy it. For me, I think one of the fights of the night could well be Callum Smith against Craig Glover. I don't see that going, not just 12 rounds, 6 rounds. Both guys punch very hard. Both guys are a little bit vulnerable. Both guys leave their chin in the air when they're trading.
And a bit needle at the end there, didn't they?
Great narrative. You got Tony Bellew with Craig Glover. You got the McGuigans with Callum Smith. Fair play to both going for it. That'll be a thrilling fight. And of course, they're the main event. It's a really, really good card, even if I may say so myself.
It is. Eddie, can we move on?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
probably won't see you before Saudi.
Yeah.
First question, 24.95.
Yeah.
Whose decision was that?
Sky's.
Not yours.
I don't own Sky, unfortunately. I don't own DAZN either, although people seem to think I'm in charge of subscriptions, direct debits, everything. So, listen, I understand that I have to accept the criticism. Sky will make decisions based on the size of the event. I guess they feel like this is an event of a lifetime, one of the biggest heavyweight fights of all time, and they put the price up. It's been $19.95 for a while. This is, again, I can't guarantee this but I'm 99.9% sure this is not a reflection of an increase for pay-per-view. I mean, last week we saw a KSI fight at $9.99. Again, it was just an individual reflection of the event itself. So that was not a big night of boxing.
So it's not an indication of a permanent pay rise?
Absolutely not. This is a one-off event that happens to be one of the biggest heavyweight fights of all time. And obviously they've reflected that in the price. So,
personally, do you agree with it? Because some of the criticisms...
I understand the philosophy of the size of the fight. You know, if you're in America and it's a mega fight on Fox or HBO, it's $100. If it's not, it's $80. So it's not like it's anything unique that someone puts the price up for something mega.
But that's the fear a lot of fans have, isn't it? That it would get to that level.
What, $100? I hope not.
No.
I mean, we'll be dead by the time it does. But I just think that, how do I feel about a decision? I understand it. I would have no issues if it was $19.95. Certainly wasn't us saying, oh, put the price up. But it is a mega event and they've obviously looked at it that way. But certainly you're not going to see $24.95 for events moving forward unless they are events of the year, or in this case, let's be honest, like probably when you talk about this is for me the biggest heavyweight fight of the decade, right? I think this is one of the biggest heavyweight fights of the century because we're only 20 years in, 19 years in, so it's a unique event, it really is. And again, I understand it, would have been happy with $19.95. It's a mega event. I don't think you'll be seeing it again.
Looking at value for money on that, is Dillian on the card?
Yes, I think so. So I think in the next 48 hours we'll have a decision on that.
So that obviously proves he's clear to box.
He's 100%. Someone tweeted me this morning and said, is he still on his ban? I said, he's had a hearing, he's cleared to box.
Yeah.
What we want a statement from UCAD, that's what we want. Yeah. And you see Ryan Martin's just waited a year to get his decision.
I was going to ask that, so potentially could there be a decision from UCAD on Dillian in 6 months' time?
I don't know. But what I'm saying is it's not, Ryan Martin's case is very different. Yeah. Ryan Martin never had a hearing, he never went before a panel to produce evidence. Eventually he did, and they decided that, no, you're guilty. Dillian Whyte's been through that process. So we're saying, you've cleared him to box, so help us stop answering these questions. But he has a career, he's not suspended, he's been cleared to box, he's fully cleared to box by British Boxing Board of Control, he's got a fight. And this is a great platform for him to do it, so we'll see whether we make it happen.
Have you spoken to him about being on AJ's undercard? Is he alright with that?
I mean, it's a huge, every fighter in the world wants to be on this show. It's one of the biggest shows of all time.
And is it Charles Martin?
No.
No, so the Sky coverage, people putting two and two together?
Definitely not.
Do you know who it is? Without telling us, but...
Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about it because I want to make sure I don't get done on the money. So we'll see. Right. But it's not Charles Martin, I promise you.
Right, what kind of level are we looking at, Eddie?
Decent. Not dissimilar to Charles Martin level, but it's a 10-round fight. It's not, he's not going to be fighting a top 10 guy, but it's going to be a pretty good fight.
All right. AJ, just going back, it seems an awful long time since Jarrell Miller's failed drug test and Andy Ruiz, and what was all that like? How did you get from Miller to
the whole
Ruiz?
thing was a nightmare, really, and I just, it's only when you look back at it and you start thinking, again, this is what I say about Wilder, because I look at Wilder right now and I think back to AJ, like he trained hard, and Wilder's trained hard, but when I saw him yesterday, AJ, he's a different person.
Right.
You know, like bang up for it, edgy, almost like the young kid that I met for the first time. You know, like bit of a chip on his shoulder, like. You know, and you've got to have that, because you've got to be prepared to do whatever it takes to win.
And he wasn't like that the first fight?
I think if you would have asked him, he would have said yes, but deep down, are you? You know, you can't, if you've geared up for this moment that you've built towards for 12 weeks, where it's like must win, blood, sweat and tears, and then you get there, you know, with Miller it was the drug test, then it was a week and a half of having no opponent, and then it was 3 weeks left before it's Ruiz, and then he gets to America, everyone's asking him about Wilder, and everyone's saying Ruiz is a joke, and then he meets Ruiz, and it's like, hi mate, how you doing? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Difficult. Can I have some specifics, Eddie? In the changing rooms before you came out, there was that delay. What exactly happened there? Because there's an awful lot.
He choked on a Haribo.
Right. As crazy as that sounds.
No, I'm joking.
All right.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. He hit pads. He went into the side room and they said, you got 1 minute and we're walking. And he went, all right. He hit pads with Rob and he kept going like this with his groin guard. And then he said to Rob, I think I might want to change this. He said, well, have a, you know, do some pads. Done some pads. She came back and said, right, we've got to go. And he went, I want to change his groin guard. They went back into the other room.
Yeah.
They got his groin guard. They took his shorts off. Put his groin guard on. The whole process took a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then we literally run to the holding point where we went straight into the ring.
Yeah.
And again, people talk about in the ring, you know, he didn't seem that comfortable. He probably wasn't. So normally he walks out, he does a lap of Wembley Stadium, he stands on the thing, and then he goes into the ring. This was all felt a little bit rushed, but it was a new experience. I told people in the build-up to the fight, it's not just the challenge of the opponent, it's all the new surroundings. And he's got more new surroundings in Saudi.
Yeah.
But at least he's experienced that now.
Same for both men, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
this time round.
But you know, it's mate, it's going to be mega.
It is. The next specific. Was he knocked out in sparring before that fight?
Absolute, bro. You don't. I've never really seen a fighter get knocked out in sparring. No disrespect to Joey DeWecco, who was apparently, I don't even think, like, I think they sparred like 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10, whatever it was. But no, not at all. He said something interesting yesterday, which actually I haven't even asked about. He said, I know why I lost him last fight.
Right.
And the journos were like, what happened? Why? And he went, oh, nothing. He said, no excuses, I just know. And I'm like, what is it? You know, I think that he felt that he was flat and he was tired in camp. And I think maybe it's very difficult in that situation to lean on someone. Like if he would have gone to maybe Rob or someone and said, I don't feel great. You know, I feel flat, I feel tired. They're probably going to pull you out of the fight.
Because he said that mid-fight, didn't he?
Yeah,
Why do I feel like this?
I mean, he said afterwards, he has said to me that I felt tired in camp, and this camp he's done things differently, you know, and I think he'll be a lot lighter. You know, I think he's going to surprise me.
That was the last question, so he's a lot of changes.
I don't know the weight, and he never trains for weight, so like I said to him yesterday, what are you weighing? And he went, I don't know. Like he said, I weighed myself like a couple of weeks ago and I was 110 kilo, or whatever he said, but I think looking at him yesterday, I wouldn't be surprised if he came in around 17 stone.
Really?
You know, and I think, you know, he looks, you know, he's fighting a fast heavyweight with good lateral movement. You don't want to just be a big unit who's a bit robust. You want to be. But
this rumours Ruiz has lost an awful lot of weight as well.
But I don't think with Ruiz, I don't think it's going to matter if he's half a stone lighter or half a stone heavier. Andy Ruiz is going to be Andy Ruiz. Yeah. It's AJ that's got to make the changes in this fight.
I agree. Last one on that one. Where does AJ go if he wins, and where does AJ go if he loses?
I think, you know, a lot of people ask that question, is he done if he loses? But I understand, this young man loves the sport of boxing. It changed his life. He's totally dedicated to his craft. So if he was to lose, touch wood, you know, then for me, he carries on. He would have had 24 fights, he would have unified the heavyweight division twice, and he would have lost to one man. Yeah. And he's 30. Heavyweights don't really come into their prime, in my opinion, until their early 30s anyway. So you never want to have back-to-back defeats. But he would go away, he would have some time, he would reflect, and he would come back and he would continue to try and improve.
There'd be some solace it's the same man.
Yes. I mean, what? I don't know if that's good or bad. You know, is it good because you say, well, maybe he just had my number, that guy. Yeah. Maybe Wilder ain't got my number, or Fury ain't got my number. If you lose to two different men, maybe it's a little bit different. But
and if he wins?
Yeah, if he wins, he's a daddy. He's the fucking Mac Daddy king of the world. You know, I mean, he's got it all. And I really hope he does, because I'm so proud of the way he's rolled his sleeves up. He's had a lot of stick. Like, you go from being, you know, this god to, oh, you're a joke, you're all a hype, you know, etc., etc. And that, I think that's given him the chip on the shoulder. Yeah. Maybe even retire if he wins. You know, I think he won't, but it's almost like that mentality of, I can see him winning and just go, oh, fuck you haters, like I've, you know, respect me now, kind of thing. And I think we should respect him, because he never asked me for a warm-up fight. He went, give me that kid again, you know. Straight back in. You got to respect.
Do you think that's wise?
No, I think he would have been better off having a warm-up fight, but the contract didn't allow it, and maybe you never get that chance again. And in my opinion, certainly 8 times out of 10, he should be beating Andy Ruiz. He said something really interesting yesterday. He said, I rate Andy Ruiz, I think he's a really good fighter, I just don't think I should be losing to him twice.
Which is fair enough. Very last one, Eddie. How do you think it'll go?
I think he'll knock him out. I think AJ's going to knock Ruiz out between round 6 and 9.
Right, I'll stick a 10 on it for you.
Yeah, I hope so, mate.
Eddie Hearn, thank you very much for your time. Right. Take care, mate.